journalist? What motivated you to become a teacher?
So my story of becoming a teacher is a unique one because I never wanted to be a teacher. My initial plan was to be a journalist. I got the job of anchor on the morning announcements in fifth grade, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to study journalism. And so throughout my grade school years, I did radio broadcasting, newspaper, I did media journalism, every form of journalism, I did it. And when I got to college, I sat with my guidance counselor and she told me that I wouldn't be a good fit for journalism because my accent would not get me far in the field. And also that they hire attractive people. And so wouldn't be a good fit for me. And so right then and there in her office, my vision just crumbled to the ground because, like I said, I was dead set on this field. And she said, "What do you do now?" And I said, "I'm a camp counselor." And she said, "Well, you like kids?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Okay, well, then you should be a teacher." And I listened to her. And here we are, 14 years later, 3 degrees later. I feel like she was put in my path as an intervention. I feel like she guided me to steer my career for the rest of my life. I think had I sat with somebody else, I probably would have never become a teacher. I would have just followed through and become a journalist. But I'm thankful that I listened to her in a way. And there are moments, I'm not gonna lie to you, where I do wish that I would have listened to my heart, to follow my dreams, to do what I wanted to do. But at the end of the day, this field allows me to really touch the lives of so many. And it's amazing what 10 months in a classroom can do and the profound impact it makes on people. So I think had I become a journalist, I don't think I would have been able to do that.
I want to touch on the last part because I know like the counselor kind of puts your dream down. So do you think that affects how you speak to your students when they speak about what they want to do in the future? Has that really affected like how you reach out?
Absolutely. I feel like in a way, it was kind of an ignorant comment to tell me that my accent would not take me very far. I've actually been able to speak to so many journalists who have told me that when you go to college, they do teach you how to neutralize your accent. Because there are so many different immigrants and people from, all over the United States. And so I wish I would have known that because I would have stuck up for myself and continued through my journey. And so I think with my students, I always make sure that they understand that it doesn't matter where you come from, what you look like. If you want to pursue something and you just have that spark and that passion, that willpower and desire, you can do it. And so I never want my students to think they can't get into a field because of something so silly like an accent. I do work in a Title I school where the majority of my students are underprivileged. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if they want to be, an astronaut. It doesn't matter. Like, I definitely will tell them, like, go do what you got to do to become an astronaut. Like, do what you have to do to be a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse, whatever you want to do. Like, you should be able to do it. And even though she might have, like, my guidance counselor might have thought her intentions were good, at the end of the day, it's so disheartening to tell somebody that they can't do something um because of something they don't have control over, if that makes sense. um
Yeah.
so yeah, it definitely affects how I, how I speak to my students and how I motivate them for their future.
As like a Florida girl and as like a first generation, I can like understand um kind of like I don't want to say that they think of us as lower, but they kind of put a limit on us and what we can and can't do. And then, but living in Miami, and I'm seeing other people with strong accent, people who have just come to America and just trying to live their dreams. So I'm glad to hear that you took that experience and knew I don't want my students to ever experience that ever again. I want them to put their foot in and just take the journey that they're meant to take in.
Yeah, as a child of immigrant parents, they came to this country for the American dream. I mean, they came here to better their future generations and their children. So, having the opportunity to have been born in the United States and to be able to live in a free country, for my family, it was, let's have our children in a place where they can grow and do those things. And so I think, you know, for someone to put all of that to a halt and not understand, just because I'm an immigrant's child doesn't mean that I can't, progress in my life and get on a television screen and share the news. I mean, I'll give you an example. There's an anchor. Her name is Jeanette Reyes. She's super popular on TikTok. Jeanette Reyes is Dominican. And when she speaks in a normal setting, not on the news, she has her little like New York accent, her little Dominican accent. But when she gets on the screen, she neutralizes her accent. And she was taught that in college. And I admire that. I watch her videos sometimes and I'm like, that could have been me, like that could have been me. I know I have an accent. I'm a Miami girl. I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud to be from the 305 and I'll carry that with me for the rest of my life. And I know my accent, you could tell that I'm from there. But I think it's so important to tell our students they can. And I'm actually, I might be going off topic here, but
It's
um,
completely fine.
I'm going to tell you something I've reflected on a lot this past year. And it's something that I definitely want to address in this coming school year, especially since I'm teaching fifth graders now who are preteens practically.
Mm.
I'm noticing a very disturbing incline in self-motivation and self-esteem in my students. And I don't just mean my students, I'm talking about students in general, because I see this in other classes and other students in other classes, and a bunch of my former students that have just graduated high school. A lot of them have shown signs of terrible self-esteem. I have a student who is phenomenal at public speaking. I actually took her parents weren't able to take her to an audition to audition for a position at AMDA, which is an incredible theater school in California and New York.
Mhm.
But she qualified for an audition. I woke up at 5 a.m. I took her on a Saturday because I know what she has to offer. And it's so sad because she didn't pursue that dream. And she just lacked the self-motivation and the self-esteem to do that. I have another former student, amazing with her academics. She's very bright, very smart. She wanted to go to film school, ended up not pursuing that because she didn't think she was good enough. And so I'm seeing this like incline, unfortunately, in this lack of self-esteem and confidence. And so that's something I'm definitely gonna have to think about, how do I want to work on that with my kids, besides talking to them? Because if they already lack those things, and here they go to college and meet with a guidance counselor and she tells them, oh, you can't do that because you talk like this, or you said this or that. What kind of a disservice is that? I mean, we can't continue to add to that pile of low self-esteem. We have to boost our kids, and they're going to seek that from their trusted adults, including myself, including a guidance counselor. So it's definitely something that I think more people need to reflect on and think about when they're talking to students.
Do you think that it could be something drawn on COVID, or do you think it's just something that's always been there and it's been progressively getting worse?
I'm going to be very honest with you. I attribute it to social media. Now, that is just my opinion. And while I love social media, and I'm sure you guys can see that, and I know it can be used for a lot of good, I also believe that a lot of students compare themselves to other people on social media. And we have a lot of talk, especially with my girls. We talk a lot about what we see on there. I'm very honest and blunt with them. I tell them sometimes, people post what they want to post on there. They don't post the trials and tribulations of their life. Everybody doesn't live a perfect life. I know I personally try to keep my channel very positive, because I want to be that light in the world, but that doesn't mean that I have this perfect life. I don't. So it's really important to share with our students our what social media entails and what it's about. And I think unfortunately a lot of teachers, administrators, school board, in their mind it's like, oh no, no social media, we cannot talk about that, that's not allowed in school. And I understand that to an extent, but at the same time, it's reality, it's our world, and it's not going away. I mean, social media is not going away, our kids are exposed to it, so why not talk about it and address it and share with our kids? You don't have to compare yourself to anybody. You are special, there's only one of you. And I in my opinion, I wholeheartedly believe that that plays a very big role in that incline of lack of motivation and self-esteem.
No, I can definitely see on your viewpoint on it. Like me myself, I'm a public relations student right now. I'm getting my MBA, and I've learned so much about social media and advertising, but I've also learned that it can at this point of our lives, technology is everywhere. Rise of TikTok, Instagram, there's always a new social platform, and always in that new social platform, there are influencers and there's people who want to portray themselves in a brighter light than they actually are, sometimes just for the heck of it,
Yeah.
sometimes just to earn money and stuff. But that large increase of it have also just dealt with just massive blows to people's self-esteem. I've been seeing a rise of cosmetics use, surgery. It's just been exploding. So I can just see how it just truly affects how students are feeling nowadays, and what they think they can and can't do. It's really hard. Even for me, I took in a break. I've had to so find myself. So seeing a teacher like yourself, because I didn't really have teachers like you when I was a child or when I was in elementary, middle school, high school. So to see that you're putting the effort in, I feel like that's really helpful. Even on showing that on your platform as well, it's just really helpful for kids, parents, teachers, just to see that it's not a one person job. Everyone has to be involved in trying to help kids to get into a better life, better than we have it right now.
Yeah, and I think the other issue too is, the number one affects the number one, I'm going to word this incorrectly. Um the number one thing that a teacher can do, as far as like for effect size, is building relationships with your students, right? I've had my fair share of teachers where I walk in their room, there's a disconnect, right? It's an adult at the front of that room. I have to listen to that adult and I have to do what I'm told because I'm learning, and that's it, and then I walk out of the room, I do my homework, and we repeat the same process essentially the next day. But when a child knows that you can relate to them, that you are a normal human being, you leave that classroom, you go to Publix, you go to the grocery store, you go to concerts, you go to a restaurant and whatever. Like, it sounds so silly, but growing up, I remember thinking like, my teacher goes to Publix? What? Like, I thought they lived there. I thought they lived in their classroom. And that's a problem. That's a problem because we're not, the kids are not relating to the teacher. And the fact that my students know I'm a normal human being, I go home at the end of the night and I put my head down on the pillow just like you guys do. And, I want to watch TV after school just like you guys do. And my mom tells me to eat vegetables too, just like you guys. So it's like, when you build that relationship with the student, you're gonna get results because they know you're a real person. And going back to what you said about social media, I get a lot of hate on social media. I get a lot of nasty comments about my weight, comments about how my kids and I do a dance every Friday, and I always stand at the front of the dance because most of them look at me to do the dance. Well, some
Mm-hmm.
people don't know that. My kids are not the LA Lakers dancers, so they look at me to, oh, okay, that's the next move, and
Mm,
people comment all the time, get your big behind to the back. You're blocking all these kids, this, that. Now, thankfully, I have thick skin and I just block and delete all the hate, and I don't let it affect me, right? But that's because I'm an adult and I've lived life. So if I'm dealing with that, imagine a child dealing with that, who already lacks self-esteem, who already lacks motivation. That it's not good. And another thing, I mean, I'm sure because most of my followers know this, I infuse pop culture into my lessons.
mm,
I think that's really important. I think it's important for the kids to understand that, I do like certain singers and actors that they like. And a lot of people, I get a lot of hate for that. I get a lot of hate for that. Oh, you're not teaching the fundamentals. What's wrong with you? This is not okay. Why are you telling the kids about Cardi B? Whatever. And it's like, what they don't understand is, number one, I'm not teaching them about Cardi B. Let's start there. Number two, I work in an area where students listen to Cardi B on the way to school. Their parents like Cardi B. They like Cardi B. They enjoy listening to her. It is part of their culture. I am not telling them she's the best person to listen to. I am not telling them that I agree with her views or whatever. What I am telling them is, I understand where you're coming from. I understand your culture and what you enjoy. I get it. And I'm here to tell you, like, if that's what you listen to, that's all right. That's you. So a lot of people, a lot of followers and stuff, they don't understand that. They think it's exposure to someone who is not necessarily considered a role model to students, to children. But at the end of the day, it's their culture. It's what they listen to at home. It's what their parents enjoy. So if I can let them know that I understand their culture, they are going to work with me way more than if I told them, oh no, turn that off. Don't listen to that. You shouldn't be listening to that, whatever. And not that we listen to it in school, we don't, but you know what I mean? It's like, it's at
yeah.
home.
Just to bring it back to social media, but how do you think social media has an effect on your teaching, or your teaching have an effect on social media?
In a positive light or negative light?
Whatever you can do both, you can do either,
Okay.
whatever you feel like, what's in your heart, basically. Just
Okay.
what do you feel like needs to be spoken?
Okay. So I feel like social media has provided me with such an amazing opportunity to teach our newbies, our little green bean teachers that are coming in for the first time, but also to kind of spark our veterans. I know, as a veteran myself, I know that it can become very routine with what we do. And so to be able to provide a platform and a place to share what I do in the classroom, to receive so much love from people who tell me, thank you so much for sharing this lesson. I'm going to infuse it myself as well. Or, thank you so much for sharing this. I've been doing the same thing for years and it's time for a change. Or, I'm doing my student teaching. I'm so nervous this semester, but I'm going to infuse these things and, I'll let you know how it goes. That to me is invaluable. I wish sorry, my microphone. I wish I had that when I was getting into the field. I would have loved to have been able to follow somebody and to kind of learn from them and do fun things that they do. I learned in a more traditional setting, in college, but to be able to, share that with people. And even though I am a veteran, I've also been able to learn from so many teachers. There's so many other teachers that post on there that, I'll look at something and go, my gosh, what a great idea. I'm going to do that too. I think it's vital for teachers to go on there and see what people are talking about, see what people are sharing, so that we can stay with the times and so that we can evolve as our students evolve with our instruction and our pedagogies.
Okay. Um, how do you have you stayed authentic to your teaching style as a social media influencer? Or do you think you've changed from learning from other people on social media as well?
So if I look back to how I taught during my internship, and I look back at those recordings of myself teaching and I recorded myself today, it would be two completely different people. I think my teaching style evolves truly. What might work with one class might not work with another class. It really depends on the dynamic of the personalities of who you have. I truthfully don't have a teaching style that usually sticks and stays. Every year is different. Our technology evolves, our students evolve, and I think it's important for us to evolve also with the way that we teach. So, to be honest with you, yes, my teaching style has changed. Now, as far as social media goes, no.
Mm.
Social media is not something that I would say affects the way I teach. It's more of the dynamic of the personalities in the classroom and what we are given for instruction. That is really what guides me to change my teaching instruction and the way that I use curriculum. But social media doesn't really have a big impact. It's more of a way for us to share what we do with other people.
Okay. Have you ever had any issues rise from social media, maybe from the parents, maybe users getting a bit out of hand and trying to reach out or anything like that? Or it's just been kind of a chill setting for you as of right now? I know you said that you've gotten hate comments, but
So, I've been very blessed. I have the best parents, truly. They support me in everything that I do. I haven't had any issues with any parents of students in my classroom at all. I've been very blessed. So shout out to all of the amazing parents at NEE. I love you. Um, I will tell you, people have taken this very far. I did have someone reach out anonymously to my principal to inform her that I was posting children online. Obviously, I have a release form, so she clarified that with the follower who did that. I also get, it's very common for me to get comments on my post with the kids to say, did you get permission? Did you get permission for this? And, you're posting kids. Is that okay? So it's funny because on every single post that has children, if you go to the comment section, I always copy paste the same exact comment that tells my followers, yes, we have release forms. Yes, we have FERPA forms. But I also think something that's helped me as far as, with the parents and the community is I go to extreme measures to make sure that my students are not exposing their names or anything like that. Safety is number one. If you're going to infuse social media with your class, you have to take it very seriously. It's important for the kids who don't have a release form. They can never be, shown, photographed, videotaped, whatever. And, again, like, for example, we just did a video to last month. We did a video where it was a chip challenge. This is like a super popular TikTok trend. And so we did the chip challenge where everybody states their name, what chips they brought, and then they dump it into the bowl. Nobody said their name. Everybody said the first letter of their name. That was a safety and security measure that I personally took so that nobody knows their names. A
mm,
lot of people in the comments were like, who names their kid one letter? That's so weird. People were like, why are all their names one letter? Like, people weren't getting it. But again, it's important to take that into consideration.
okay. We do have only 5 minutes left. So as a last point, do you have anything you would want to say to upcoming teachers, teachers down the field, teachers on social media? Just any last points you would like to leave for the audience?
I'm so sorry. I got text messages and it was making noise and I was distracted. Any last
Oh,
any last points for teachers?
teachers who's starting social media, or just any last points you would just like to leave for the audience.
Um, like for new teachers? It's
New
mostly
teachers,
the
new
audience
teachers.
is mostly new teachers, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So for the new teachers out there, I'm going to say as much as you want to make your room pretty and cute and you want to make sure everything looks perfect, I mean, we all want that. But at the end of the day, just remember it's so important to build relationships with your students. Make sure you prioritize that over anything else. Definitely learn curriculum and instruction first and build relationships first before you worry about aesthetics. That's the best advice I can give so that you start off on a good note.